It's time to finish the game. Let's go.
Ball first and 10 at the 12-yard line of the Seahawks. Sean goes right, has a cut back lane, and he does. He's across the 20, the 25, 30, 35, 40. Here he goes. Are they going to catch him? 40, 35, 30, 25, 10, 5. Touchdown Seahawks. What a run by Sean Alexander.
Finish the game. We gonna finish the game. Yeah. Finish the game. We gonna finish the game. Yeah.
What's happening, everybody? This is Sean Alexander. You hear the music, the man in the box, Claude Jennings. What's up, Claude?
Hey, Sean, how are you, man?
Welcome to Finish the Game. I've just got back from spending the weekend with my family in Kentucky, and I tell you, them Alexanders still know how to party.
It's in Boone County, right? Your brother had a birthday.
That's right.
Yeah. I saw some of the pictures on Facebook. Right.
Yeah, Facebook. We was on Instagram, and we was showing up. I had such a good time just celebrating my older brother. Gosh, he's just an amazing man. Duran Alexander, shout out to you, big bro. It was great seeing people just honor him and talk about the impact that he's had with people from, my brother was a drummer at the University of Notre Dame, and so academic scholarship. So he was already brilliant, and then he came and ran my foundation for a couple years, and then he moved back home, and now he's running another company out there in Ohio. So it was just fun seeing all the people that he's impacted from work, impacted from his church. He's one of the marriage counselors, and him and his beautiful bride, which is one of my good friends, Heather. What's up, Heather? She was actually was the grad assistant in Alabama when I was there, mm-hmm. And so it was just cool watching all these people come and just talk about my older brother in such a great man's man, respect you, honor you kind of way. And it was beautiful. Then I got to go around and watch my nephews and watch them play football, watch them play AAU basketball, and they was hitting game-winning shots. They was knocking folks down, scooping up balls. It was so fun to be with my family out in Florence, Kentucky. So shout out to all you Boone County Rebels, all you people from Florence, all you Florence y'alls. It was just much love. Thank you all for making it so sweet.
Yeah, I was looking at some of the pictures, man, and one of those pictures you posted, man, it was of the dinner, and there was some good food on that table, man. What was the menu like at one of the dinners, man? What was y'all eating on?
Oh man, so we ate so much good food there, but the next morning we all went over to Josh, he's like my brother. He grew up with me, but my whole family, aunts, uncles, cousins, everybody went over to Josh's house. Now Josh is a chef at Longhorn Steakhouse, and he owns his own thing. So him and his wife and my cousin Ben, who's now one of the football coaches at my old high school, Boone County, shout out Rebels. They threw down some breakfast, and everybody was there eating. I mean, I was eating like I was gonna run afterwards, which I surely wasn't, but we was putting it down. They was rolling some kind of toast with some cream cheese in it, dipped in some egg and cinnamon. Oh, it was so good. The bacon was crispy. I told them I don't eat pork. Wait a minute, I eat that kind of pork. So, I ate everything in sight. It was just so much fun. The cool thing I love about my family, they basketball, football. Mm-hmm. We touching a little bit of everything, except Olympic sports.
Yeah, you don't have any 100-meter sprinters in the family or anything like that.
No. I had a little cousin that was fast, but I was faster than him. So so I don't know what we're gonna do with that. But
well, given that the Olympics are on, I mean, have you been watching and keeping up with any of the Olympics?
Yeah, I like people that are the best. You know what I mean? People be like, who's your favorite team? Well, for a while it was the Lakers, and then there was the Yankees in baseball, and and the Cowboys in football, and then it became the Redskins. I was just breaking all the rules. And they'd be like, Sean, you a bandwagon player. I'm like, I'm a winner. So you already know when Michael Phelps was getting ready to come back out, and I heard that he was training, he was training for this. I got to see what he's going to do. So I peeped him out a little bit, and I watched him win some race. I saw him all fired up, and man,
he was so fired
awesome.
up. Yeah, he was so fired up to win that race against I forget the guy from South Africa, but the guy who beat him in 2012, and he was like, man, I can't wait to get back in this pool. And this guy's, I guess staring him down and stuff, and he's just focused. And then there's a great shot in the race where Phelps is just focused ahead and he's swimming, and the other guy's looking over at him while they're swimming. And I just see that picture, and the thing that comes to my mind, thinking to finish the game is, while everyone else is looking at you and criticizing you and trying to compare themselves to you, stay focused on winning, stay focused on finishing, because that's what finishers do. We focus on the end while everyone else is focused on distractions and looking at what everyone else is doing.
That's right. I mean, at the end of the day, we don't compare, we compete,
right.
And when you keep it like that, it works, and then, so swimming's been great. I was thinking of the two Samuel girls that have been, or the two Simone girls that have been killing.
Simone Manuel, the swimmer.
Yeah. So that's been exciting. It's got a lot of people wanting to get back in the pool, see what they can do,
And that's a big deal, man, because you see so many kids in the black community who drown simply because they don't know how to swim, which is an easy thing to do as a kid, to train your kids and for kids to learn how to swim. But it goes all the way back to the day where, blacks didn't have access to pools and things like that. And so you grow up, not that you're not able to swim, you just don't know how to swim because you couldn't get into pools. And so, I had a friend who has a 3-year-old daughter who, once she saw that, immediately this past weekend, she had her in a swim class, man. And so that's kind of cool to see.
Oh, without a doubt. I was thinking about Gabby Douglas, she's from Virginia. She's a DC, a DMV girl. And so the other Simone has kind of taken her shine, but, she's still pulling it together and doing well. But gymnastics, America's still doing their thing.
Yeah, man. What's so interesting too about that is just when you look at all the female gymnasts from the Team USA were phenomenal. That team was so great at everything that they did, and when it was interesting because it seemed like it almost started with gymnastics. It was right up front, and they put on just a professional athletic clinic on how you prepare and how you finish, and also the teamwork. Because they compete as a team, but then they also compete individually, and just the camaraderie and the support for one another while you're competing was so good to see. And it was great to see Simone Biles just take gymnasts to a whole nother level. Gabby Douglas there, who was the star from 4 years ago, but still support someone else whose time is now. And it was awesome, really, really awesome to see. But before you move on to the gymnasts, also with the swimming, Katie Ledecky.
How did I forget her?
Up. Medal after medal.
Right.
Like, what in the world?
Yeah, I forgot about her. Yeah, she's killing. So you know what? I think she's my cousin too. You know what I mean? So family's going strong. No, she's gonna be like the next Michael Phelps. You know what I mean? Like she's doing it now. What are we talking about? Yeah. She's just phenomenal. And makes it look easy. I hope that she stays focused because she'll win more than any other swimmer ever. If she chooses to do so, it's amazing watching her. Like she half dolphin. You know what I mean? So, we thought Phelps was good.
There was one race she won where she was almost like 2 body lengths or 3 body lengths ahead of everybody else and you're like, wait a minute, is she racing by herself? Because the camera literally was showing her and no one else could fit in the angle, and it was.
You almost thought it was like a timer thing, like she was working out. We're like, what in the world's going on here? Yeah, so Katie Ledecky, she's amazing. So we got to talk about one of the greatest. We got to go to Usain Bolt. So,
my goodness!
Wow.
The funny thing about him is how, and again, to go with the theme of the show, Finish the Game. By the way, this is the Finish the Game podcast. He's Sean Alexander. I'm Claude Jennings. The funny thing about that is that he doesn't have a long way to go, right? It's just 100 meter, but he starts off kind of slow. And I didn't realize this until they kind of broke it down the night of the race. And they were showing how he normally starts off a little slow. And it might be because he's taller than most of the guys. And so it takes him a while to kind of get his legs kicked in gear. But with those last 60 to 50 meters, he just takes off. And that's exactly what happened this year in the finals.
His last 10 meters. Right. I feel like he's looking around. He's looking around like, did everybody stop? Did everybody stop?
And you're watching these guys race and they're running as hard and as fast as they can. And he's behind. And all of a sudden, that last 30 to 40 meters, he just kicks it into another gear and he's looking around and all the other guys got this look on their face where they're like straining and giving all that they have. And he's just floats right by him. It's crazy. And it's great to see an athlete like him who has fun with what he's doing. Like he dances around. He takes his time to take. There was a point after the race where someone wanted to take a selfie with him, but they couldn't stretch their arms out long enough from the stands. He takes 2 phones. He's taking pictures with people's phones and giving it back to them and stuff. It was just so cool to see him do that.
Yeah, no, that's the kind of the Babe Ruth thing. You know what I mean? Everybody said Babe Ruth was the greatest baseball player of all time, but then the things that they said was like he rarely did not take time, sign autographs, crack some jokes, you know.
Yeah.
And that style in that time was totally different. But I would wonder what would have happened if there was Instagram and Twitter when Babe Ruth was alive. You know what I mean?
Right.
We'd be scared of some of it, but most of it would be pretty amazing, you know?
Right. Well, it's so interesting, Sean. I mean, you're talking about these Olympic athletes, and one thing we've talked about before is preparation and training. And that's one of the great things about the Olympics is that, you know, it's not, you know, even though basketball's in there and golf's in there, you know, most of these sports is not something people do professionally to make money, but they train so much year after year for this one moment, for this one competition to try to get this gold medal. And so much training goes into that. Talk about the importance of preparation and training or finish the game.
Yeah, you know, I love this thing about the Olympics. I mean, can you imagine, like, we're in a society where you want whatever you want now. You know, everything has to be fast food. You know, I work, I want to get paid right now. I work, I want the accolades right now. You know, I don't even have to work well, but if I do anything, I need credit or funds. I need something right now. Right. And then you have these Olympic athletes that literally, you know, these gymnasts, they started training when they were 12. Some of them 6.
Right.
To get to the Olympics by you know, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, they've been training decades, you know, just for that one moment, maybe 4 years, you know, of maybe getting 2 Olympics, but they train for decades for one moment to shine. And I think it's just beautiful. I think it's something to say about all Olympic athletes. And then I think it's also a message to all of us in life. Like, you know, you might only have one moment where you actually are on that bright stage, and it could be as a father, it could be as a husband, it could be as a worker yourself, you know, where, you know, what happens when the lights really show up on you for that one situation? You know, the wife is having her worst day ever, and your kids come in and they've just made this great fumble with life. They've done a thing you hope your kid never does. How do you, as a gold medal parent, handle that situation? You've been training your whole life to be able to answer your kid, to give your kid that hug. You know, I was this morning during our little Bible time, I just felt like we were playing a little music, and I just felt like it was just time for me just to come and hug all the kids. And I held them all like for 2-3 minutes each kid. Now, you already know I got 8 kids. It took us all day to get to the... Oh, man, arms was tied because I was picking them off the ground like they all little babies. You know, my oldest 3 girls, they ain't babies no more.
Right.
So, but I just held them in my arms because I felt like it was that gold medal moment. Like, you know what? All the things got going on in this house, all the things that everybody's doing. Summer's about to end, school's about to start, all these things. Let me give y'all a gold medal moment. It don't matter what's happening, you're valuable. And you kind of train your whole life to kind of make sure that you're ready for those moments when it comes to sports. But rarely do people think about it when it comes to marriage or family. And I just think that those when you're seizing those moments, like, man, what's that one time where I can come hug my kids? And I felt like every one of them was just like, wow, something just happened. You know what I mean? That was just today. I think it's just a beautiful thing. And those are those finish the game moments, like you plant the seed in your hearts of your kids that they really won't be able to get rid of. You know what I mean? They'll be like, man, like, Pops, man, he touched my heart that day. I think in life we have those moments, let alone marriage, let alone kids, but even at work, you know, I have the craziest story when it comes to football. I was behind an all-state running back in high school, an all-SEC, 2 all-SEC running backs in college. You know, I mean, it's Bama. You know how we do out there. You know what I mean? So, and then I come to Seattle, and I'm behind Ricky Watters. He's a legend. He should be a Hall of Famer. You know, 10,000 yards rushing, 70-something touchdowns. You know, Super Bowl ring with the 49ers. He should be a Hall of Famer, and I'm his backup. So I go places, and the same story happens with all 3 levels. High school at Boone County, college at Alabama, pros with Seattle. The star goes down. Right. They look at me and they're like, what are you going to do? And my first start in high school was like 4 or 5 touchdowns. The first start at Alabama, well, I come off the bench and I have the big LSU game, 291, 4 touchdowns. And then I come in Seattle and first starts like 130 and 2 more touchdowns against Jacksonville. You know, it's like, well, what happens when it was, 170, I think it might have been. What happens when the star goes down and it's your turn to step in? Like, this is all what preparation does. And this is why I love the Olympics, because they at least have a clue. It's going to be around this time of the year, about 4 years from now, you know? But I love the preparation that it takes for that one moment. I think it's a beautiful thing. And I think that as husbands and fathers, moms, parents, even children, employees, everybody, if you prepare yourself for that one moment, you'll be amazed what happens when it's go time.
Wow, you're listening to Finish the Game. I'm Claude Jennings. He's Sean Alexander, talking about the Olympics and how, you know, those guys get their moments that we all face where, you know, and like you said, it's not necessarily on the schedule. You may be facing something right now that you didn't count on, or maybe tomorrow is going to bring a new challenge where you're going to have to step up and, you know, and face that thing. And Sean, one thing that you had talked about is being able to, you know, execute all the preparation and the training that goes. And, you know, the moments of execution, or times when it's time to execute all the things you've been trained to do. Sometimes, you know, when you're faced with those moments, you kind of revert back to old habits. You know what I mean? When they talk about, you know, quarterbacks that really like to run, when the pressure's on, instead of staying in the pocket and maybe taking a little bit of heat, they tend to run a little too early when they're not supposed to. Sometimes we can revert back to some things that probably aren't best practices when facing tough situations with our families and with career and things like that. When you were playing in the league and you were tempted to maybe do some things that might not have been the best, or revert back to some old habits, whether it's training and different things like that, how do you keep the proper mindset to execute what you've been trained to do? Like, we read these scriptures and we study the Bible and we fellowship with different people. And so we have a good game plan sometimes going into certain situations in life. But then when the lights are on, it's tempting to just kind of go back to what we know. How do you stay focused on the game plan? You know, you're down by 13 points. It's just the second quarter. We can still run. Let's still establish the run. How do you stick to the game plan?
You remember when a couple years ago when the Seahawks were getting beat by Green Bay Packers and Russell Wilson comes over to Pete Carroll and you see them laugh, and then he pats him in the back of the head, and then they go out there and start running their plays. Russell said, man, this is going to sure be crazy when we talk about how this comeback happens. Wow. And what it was that it wasn't that it was just unthinkable, but Russell knew the team, he knew the plan, and he trusted it. So it's like, it don't matter if you're down $1 billion. The Seahawks always come back. It's because, especially at home, because they just really believe that they're going to win. And you know, and we were like that when I was there, and it's the same way. There has to be this, I totally trust the plan that I was given, the plan that I've made. Wow. I totally believe in what this new thing is. And so for me, when I was playing, I did some things very, very well in high school, but it wasn't going to turn over at Bama. You know, I couldn't just bounce outside and outrun everybody like I could do in Kentucky. Right. Hey, nope, you better set this thing up. Playing hard, okay, yep. And so then I got to Bama and it worked. I was like, okay, cool. This new coach, Ivy Williams, was one of the best running back coaches in all history, you know. But he trained me well, and so he like skimmed some fat off the game, and I was like, okay. So then I got to Seattle, and then Stump Mitchell was like, hey, Money, you do this so well. But if you do this right here and you add this one thing to your game, you press the hole all the way up to the line of scrimmage, or you know where you're going and you make it seem like no one else knows. You know, you add that to, and I trusted the new thing I was adding more than I did the old thing. You know, the old thing could have worked, and you know, for my case, it did work.
Right.
But sometimes people trust the old thing even when they know it's not going to work, just because they know what's going to happen.
Right, and it's that, familiar.
To me, I think that's foolish. Yeah, hey, well, you know what? This always ends up being not good, but I'm still going to trust it. No, don't do that. Go with there, gain some knowledge, get some wisdom, get some people around you that are going to help you see truth, and then trust the new thing. Really, that's what faith is. It's really believing what you can't see yet. You know what I mean? Right. And so get some faith in your game, in your new plan. Get some belief in your new game. And then go all the way up there to it. You know, it's kind of like, you know, I remember Tiger Woods when we won the Masters by like 18 strokes. He swung and just killed the game. And afterwards they were like, hey, Ty, you're doing good. And I said, but if you actually changed your hand a little bit, the way you swing, you're going to actually really be good because you're going to actually be in control of it instead of just using your gifts. He changes his hands. He gets up there. He starts winning. I think he won like 3, 4, 5 majors in a row. You're like, what? What happened? He trusted the new game, his new game plan. Now, foolishness outside of golf course will mess everything up, but that's life with anything, but when it comes to whatever you're doing, if you actually gain some new knowledge, gain some new wisdom, master a new thing, and then trust it, you're going to take yourself to amazing levels. And I was so thankful that I had great coaches like Stump, a great older brother like Ricky Waters there to kind of help me master that game. But I do the same thing with business. I do the same thing with relationships. I'll see my flaws, and my wife is always good to help me with that. And I got close friends that'll hold me accountable to my walk with the Lord, or just even how I do business. And we'll talk about it, and they're like, yeah, you got to tighten that little part of it up. And you're like, oh, okay, I see that, and then I trust the new game plan. Even if it doesn't feel like it's right, the smoke is cloudy, and what do you do? Well, you just step on the gas, and you look up, and you end up on the other side, doing way more than you thought you ever could, and that's because you actually trust the new game plan. And I tell everybody, this is what you do. If you have something new going on, and you got a new game plan to it, trust it. And if it doesn't work after a while, then you know that your new game plan wasn't the best game plan. But if you ain't really walk through it with the new plan, then walk it all the way out with 100% trust and belief, even when you're scared. When you're scared, then you probably should do it even better. You know what I mean? And I would say always go back to, man, if it ain't worked the first way, then go on and just scrap it and do it the best way. Right.
Wow, that's wild. You're listening to the Finish the Game podcast. I'm Claude Jennings. He's Sean Alexander, talking about lessons from the Olympics that we can learn and apply in life. And it comes to trusting the game plan and seeing it all the way through. And Sean, one other thing I was thinking about too, man, when you look at these guys, whether it's Michael Phelps, Gabby Douglas, Simone Biles, Simone Manuel, Katie Ledecky, and even great closers when it came to Joe Montana, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan. You got to kind of want that moment too. Sometimes we can't run every time we're faced with a challenge. If every time you run from a challenge, you'll never be victorious because you haven't competed. In order to win, you've got to face it. And so sometimes we've got to work up the strength, not to say we won't be nervous or a little anxious, and maybe even a little worried, but you still have to gear up it within yourself to say, hey, this moment where I'm supposed to be big for my family, big for my kids, big for my wife, big on the job, big for Christ. I want those moments. And so when I'm faced with it, I want to do this because I want to put everything that I've been doing to the test. Talk about wanting that moment.
Oh, yeah. It's funny. Remember I told you I was in Kentucky and got to watch my little nephew, Maximus, play. And he first played a football game and then got dressed, and we drove over with Uncle Josh to his basketball game. And so, the game's going on. He plays, and he doesn't get to start because, of course, they're already shooting the warm-ups by the time he's there. And so they get in and they start the game, and it's 7 years old, and so it's about 20 seconds for halftime. Team's up. They're not really keeping score, which that always irks me. But his team is playing well. They got a little kid on there was scoring some points, and so he's dribbling the ball up the court. If y'all want to watch it, it's on my Instagram, Finish the Game 37, or it's on my Facebook at Sean Alexander, or my Twitter at Sean Alexander, And so you see little Maximus dribble up the court. He's about half court, and he gives it a big 7-year-old chest pass all the way down the corner. The kid drops it. They throw it around the ball, and you see him clapping his hands at the top of the key, clapping his hands like, get it back to me, get it back to me. The kid misses a layup. They throw it to the other elbow, throw it to him at the top of the key. 3, 2, 1, splash, nothing but net. He just walks off the court like, that's what I do. It's in our family, He wants the ball in the last second because he's going to get it done. And I just think there's been so many great athletes that I've admired over the past that just wanted it at the biggest points. I was always like that. I wanted it all the time. And I think that the great ones do. I remember we were playing against the New York Giants that 2005 season. And I think we were on the goal line. And me and Hasselbeck walked over to the line of scrimmage. And I remember Mike says, he says, Matt, what do you think? And Matt says, I think they're going to be in this or that. And he says, they're a play you like? And I don't know what, some just started. I normally try to stay quiet, but it's hard for me. I like, and I just said, I'll get it. And Seneca Wallace, who was the back quarterback, says, hey, they said it, coach, gave him the rock, and Mike was like, all right. He flips that playbook over. Sean get in the huddle. I go running in, and they give me the ball. And I mean, the hole opened up, and I tell you what, Pierce came in there and he stuffed it. Boom! and it was one of those things like, I just said I wanted the ball. And so something to me was like, don't you dare go down. And I spun and shrugged him off, and I spun him off and then dove into the end zone. And the Seahawk fans go crazy, and we end up winning the game. And it keeps that big win streak that we had going on. And it was one of those beautiful moments. But those are the times that the great ones always want. They want the ball. And they're not even scared if it looks ugly in the moment. Like, I mean, when you get a handoff and the hole opens up, that's not good in the NFL. That's done because somebody's coming to fill it. He came in there and filled that thing, but he did make the tackle. And it was it's a sweet thing. And so I think that the great ones, there has to be something inside you that says, I want the pressure. I want the ball. When everybody's looking around like who's going to take it, you ain't even got to worry about if it's on my team. When I was at Boone County, I actually went to my high school, and I stood on the field where it all began, at least the high school level. And I just had all these things running through my mind like, man, I could smell the grass. And I remember there was a little bit of nervousness when I was 15 years old, a little bit nervous smelling the grass, knowing that what was about to happen, but I wanted it. And I think that there's something that comes with you, that there needs to be that there's something, a smell, a look. You could look over the crowd. I could see the concession stands. There was a little bit of butterfly that used to go through it at 15, 16, 17-year-old little boy, but there was also this excitement that said, I am going to put on a show tonight. I'm going to do something amazing tonight. Give me the rock. Let me go do it. And I think that the Olympics, that's what I love about football. I could feel almost like a little bit teary-eyed every now and then when I get focused in on what's about to happen at any event. And it's because to go through that memory, to go through those moments, it's a great thing that pushes you to a level that's really greater than you. That's when you know God's hands on you, whether you know him or not. His hands on you, and you're actually saying, I'm going to step into this gifting. Let's go do this. And it's a beautiful thing. And that's why I love the Olympics, because it's so many different sports, so many different people training, all going for the gold at that same time. It's a beautiful thing. And I just wish that everybody had a chance to go in life saying that they want the ball, they want the spotlight on them when it's time. And they could have it in sports, yes, but even greater with life.
Right. This is the Finish the Game podcast. I'm Claude Jennings. He's Sean Alexander. And as we wrap up, Sean, anything you want to say to the folks as we close this special Olympics edition of the Finish the Game podcast?
Yeah. You know what? I just think that everybody, y'all listen to this. It's football season. We are so pumped about that. We love We love the preseason games. I mean, I didn't really play in a lot of them, but I love because it was those final prep days of preparation before it really gets to happening. So everybody that's listening, NFL alum, NFL fans, NFL corporate, let's prepare to have this be one of the greatest years of our life, on the field, off the field. All you mothers, fathers, college kids, high school kids, man, let's set a goal to go be special this year. And that doesn't mean set something that somebody else could be accomplished. I'm not telling all y'all to go out there and try to get in a pool and beat Michael Phelps' record. I'm saying look yourself in the mirror, figure out what you want to do, and then go after it. Go do it. Go finish the game.